All right, let's dive into this, huh? We've got a mountain of stuff about Cleo Fields, this Louisiana politician. Articles, clips, even some Ballotpedia deep cuts, you name it. So what's the plan? I guess we need to sift through all of this and figure out what's really interesting about his career, especially now, since he's running for a seat in the U.S. House.
And, he's not exactly new to all of this.
Yeah, he's definitely been around the block a time or two.
He's a Louisiana state senator right now, but he was in the U.S. House back in the 90s.
Right.
And even before that, he was in the state senate.
Yeah, not exactly a newcomer. It says here he was first elected to the state senate way back in '87. That's what
7? Let's see. That's got to be.
He was only 26.
Wow.
That just blows my mind.
Okay.
26, fresh out of law school, and already making moves in the state senate. I mean, most people I know at that age are just trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives, let alone run for office. And then just a few years later, he takes a shot at the governor's mansion. Talk about ambitious.
It really makes you wonder what drives someone like that. That kind of ambition at such a young age is incredible.
Yeah, he was definitely making waves early on in Louisiana politics. I wonder what those early years were like.
It would have been something to see, that's for sure. He was already building a name for himself back then.
So we got this picture, right? This young, ambitious politician moving up, making a name for himself.
Okay.
But then
It gets complicated.
it does, doesn't it? Can't just skip over this next part. The scandal.
Right.
Edwin Edwards.
The name still echoes in Louisiana.
That's one way to put it.
A legend, no doubt. Known for his charisma, the way he could talk, man. But he also walked a very, shall we say,
A fine line.
exactly, ethically speaking, of course. And you know what happened, eventually.
Yeah, racketeering charges, right? Tied to all that riverboat casino business.
Millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Ended up in prison. Not exactly who you want your name next to if you're a rising star in politics.
And this is where that 1997 video comes into play.
Yeah.
The FBI had hidden cameras, right, in Edwards' law office, if I remember correctly. And Fields is caught on tape.
With a lot of cash.
A lot.
$25,000, to be precise.
Wow. I mean, I know it was the 90s, but still.
It was a big deal. The FBI was building their case against Edwards, alleging he was taking bribes, influencing who got those lucrative riverboat casino licenses.
And Fields just happened to walk into.
Into the middle of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just the money. It's what Edwards says. Tells Fields to be careful about how it's distributed.
So even back then, people were thinking, this doesn't look good.
Definitely raised some eyebrows. It wasn't just Louisiana politics as usual. This was a federal investigation.
So was it common for politicians to be accepting envelopes of cash like that? Or was this a big no-no even back then?
Louisiana politics has always had its, let's call it a colorful history, but this was different. This was the feds coming down hard on corruption.
This video, it's out there, right? It doesn't look great. But they never actually charged Fields with anything. How does that work?
Yeah, it's a good question. He was what they call an unindicted co-conspirator.
That sounds pretty bad.
Oh, it's not good, that's for sure. But it's a specific legal term. It basically means the government, they thought he was involved, part of the conspiracy, but they didn't have enough to actually charge him.
Okay, so they think he was maybe the getaway driver, but they didn't actually see him behind the wheel.
Exactly. It's like suspicious, but not enough to convict. And what I find so interesting about this whole thing about Fields is he never really said anything about it.
He just stayed quiet.
Pretty much. Right after the video came out, he said he'd give his side of the story, clear the air, but only after the Edwards trial was over. But that day never came. He just never really addressed it directly.
Interesting. You'd think he'd want to clear his name.
You would. But maybe, and this is just speculation, maybe staying quiet was a strategy because he went on to win another term in the state senate that same year.
97, right? Just a few months after the video.
Yep. And he's basically been in office ever since, on and off. It really makes you think. What Louisiana voters were thinking all those years. Did they just not care? Did they believe his silence meant something else? It's a real testament to, I don't know, his political skills maybe. Or maybe just the nature of politics down there.
And now he's running for the U.S. House. This new district, it seems like, well, it seems designed to elect a black candidate.
That's the analysis, yeah.
So do you think after all these years, that video, will it matter?
It's the million-dollar question, right?
Right.
I mean, he's got name recognition, he's been around, and the district itself leans in his favor. But that video is out there, that image. It's hard to shake something like that.
Voters do have long memories, especially when it comes to scandal.
They do.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Ambition, scandal, Louisiana politics.
Yeah.
What stands out to you the most about Cleo Fields?
That's a tough one. But I think For me, it comes back to the question, how much does the past matter? He gets to the U.S. House, then boom, this scandal. He goes quiet, lays low for a bit, and climbs right back up the ladder. It really makes you think about what we're willing to tolerate, about power, about the choices we make. And those are questions that I think go way beyond Louisiana.